stays tight. All these dreams under the stadium lights. We're chasing rings while they count the cash. Pocketbooks closed, making big plans crash. Stars on the logo, but not on the field. Big dreams were born, but never revealed. We could shine bright if we spent on the squad. Instead we pray for miracles and applaud. We bring the boom, but the budget's shy. Fans are screaming, why won't you try? Championships need more than faith, but tight purses keep us stuck in place.
All right, it's the One Star Cowboys podcast, free agency extravaganza, because the new league year has begun finally. See, that tampering stuff is no fun. The new league year is now, and we wanted to wait and see what happened and then talk about it. We got Saad Youssef, we got John Machota, we got Kent Garrison. I'm Kevin Turner, and make sure you're following John and Saad for everything you need to know over at The Athletic. I think we should start with the losses before we start talking about a lot of the moving and shaking that happened today. And, Jordan Lewis was one of the first dominoes to fall to Jacksonville. DeMarcus Lawrence, a 3-year deal to Seattle. And then we're learning just now in the last hour or so, Rico Dowdle signing with the Panthers. I'll start with you, John. You can kind of pick one of those and just go on a little tangent on it.
I would just say on Rico, well, I honestly, all three of them. Okay, so Jordan Lewis, more than I thought he would get, bigger deal, more years. Rico, less than I thought he would get, especially waiting. And then also you have to factor in the team that he's going to. He would certainly rather get that money, I believe, from the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So that one didn't make sense. And then the Lawrence one I thought was for 3 years. That was way more than I thought. I thought he'd get a 1-year deal just because of the foot issues he's had. I mean, it's not like it's just been one. I mean, and he's obviously getting up there in years. So 3-year deal, man. I mean, so great for Jordan and DeMarcus Lawrence, because I can tell you, I don't see any way the Cowboys are paying either of those. But now you got to make up for those losses. And obviously you add in there Zach Martin's retirement. So we'll get into the additions, but they got a ways to go to even get caught up to what they had last year.
Yeah, I mean, of those three, for me, I understand the price tag is kind of, what you look at, but Jordan Lewis is the one that I think hurts the most out of those three, just because your situation at cornerback outside of that is kind of what gets you a little bit. DeMarcus Lawrence, really good player as well, but you kind of, I know he has, there's been stretches in his career where he's dealt with injury issues, but I know, he kind of got right on some of that as well. But, you've kind of seen life without DeMarcus Lawrence, and you also just have more help. You invested in Marshawn Nealon. Sam Williams is coming back. You still have Micah Parsons. You just have more going around there than you do at cornerback, which honestly, I mean, you got Deron Bland, and that's great. Outside of that, it's a big question mark. Josh Butler might be your next best guy in terms of reliable in terms of what you have coming. The reason why I say that is because Trayvon is obviously the number 2 guy, but it's kind of, his situation is murky and kind of a mystery right now. We don't really know. Josh Butler flashed for a game last year. He's not coming back until the middle of the season anyways. So really you just have Deron Bland to start the season, and that's a tough outlook.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we talked about. We'll talk about 12. We'll talk about pick 44. We'll talk about the draft as we get a little bit closer. But this is not, well, would you agree this is not really any surprising way of doing business? Even though we got a new head coach in charge, it does feel like this is just kind of the way the Cowboys do free agency. It's been that way for 10 years now.
Yeah. I was just on another podcast where one of the hosts was talking about how that they feel like, because some of these deals have happened earlier in the week, that this is somehow more than they've done. And I'm sorry, but it's really not. I don't know if COVID year, the way everything was, affected people, so they don't remember that year. But they're going about it kind of like I thought they would with a first-year head coach. Like there's going to be changes because you have different pieces on your coaching staff. So they're going to address it with a variety of moves. I don't know that any of the moves make your team that much better. Whereas you go back to 2020, when McCarthy took over, all these names I'm about to say to you, not all of them, but most of them didn't work out. But we don't know how any of these are going to work out from this year's crop. But I throw out names like Everson Griffin, Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe, Alden Smith, HaHa Clinton Dix, Andy Dalton. Like, you ain't coming back to me and tell me about some Peyton Turner. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't sit here and say that this is, this is by far the most. No, it's not. They did a lot in 2020. Just none of it worked out other than, Andy Dalton was obviously a solid backup, but all the other ones really, I guess Everson Griffin was okay and Alden Smith was okay, but Clinton Dix was a miss. Dontari Poe was a miss. Gerald McCoy, they gave him a 3-year deal. That's craziness from the Cowboys, but he ended up getting hurt in training camp.
Yeah, I think there's so much recency bias because 2024 was just so low and so down.
100%.
And everything is just being measured to last year, and I totally agree. I don't think they've kind of went on some spree or anything, but everyone's just comparing it to last year when basically you did nothing, then signed Eric Kendricks and I think it was Royce Freeman, and that was about it. And so I think that's what everyone's comparing it to, and that's why they're talking themselves into it.
So let's go to these specific deals a little bit and get it. I want to start with Tank because that one kind of went down today. 3 at 42 for. To Seattle, 18 million guaranteed. I don't know about you guys, and obviously these contracts, how they work, you can get out of it and things like that. But just looking at how old he's going to be and the idea of paying him or expecting him to contribute into his 35 and 36-year-old season, it just doesn't feel like that's a big reality unless he's turning into Calais Campbell or something.
And I just really so there's some bias here because of what they've done for the last decade plus, but I usually hold Seattle in pretty high regards, and I don't know what they're doing.
I don't either.
There's not a lot of moves there that make a lot of sense that they're doing, especially when you add this one in, where you're just like, where does this fit into your plan, sir? I don't understand where this, so good for DeMarcus Lawrence, man. That's a great deal for him. I feel the same way about the Lawrence deal, like I said about Jordan Lewis, where it was yeah, at the right price, both players would be great to have back. Kind of in the middle of both those deals, 3 years, 35 for Dre Greenlaw. I was very interested in that. So yeah, if I was going to spend in that neighborhood for any of those guys, I would have given it to Dre Greenlaw, who, hey, he's coming off some major injuries and all that. And hey, they just added some linebackers today. But I think Dre Greenlaw gives you a chance where linebacker is whoa, we got something here. And then if you get Overshown back and Leofau continues to step up, now all of a sudden linebacker, you're not solid at linebacker. It is a team strength, And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think with the Lawrence thing, I just wonder how much the Aiden Dirty thing kind of, played a role in both sides with, Aiden Dirty being the defensive coordinator in Seattle and how much that was a pull for Lawrence. And I know, in speaking with him last year at different times, family was going to be a big factor in the way that he kind of went about his decision. He has kids going to college and where they're going to be going, things like that. I don't know that makes the decision, but that factored in with the familiarity with Dirty, probably played a role. But again, it's the money is pretty crazy and the term, both are pretty wild.
For that contract, it's not on the same level, obviously, for what I'm about to compare it to. These are two very different things. But when the money was shown or told, however that was communicated to him, I find it hard to believe that DeMarcus Lawrence's response to that deal wasn't in its own way somewhat similar to Myles Garrett's being like, I want out of Cleveland, get me out. Oh, no, for that. I'll stay. We're good. Yeah. I'll stay for that. Yep. Well, I'm going to turn this organization around. Dog pound for life.
Yeah. It doesn't take much to switch when you see those numbers that big. We can get into that as well as too. Micah obviously loving that contract. Or is Micah a true real one? Even though his agent's like, well, hold on, buddy. So it's more than just you. So that's a big fun talking point in Cowboy land. Rico, we're seeing incentives would take that deal This is just early reports. Who knows? It takes a little bit for this to completely get through, but 1 year, up to 6.25 million, but it's really probably 3 million, and then incentives could get him up there. I'm like, did they just give Javonte Williams more money than Rico? Because that, I mean, I don't know. Javonte Williams is full of potential and has been for a long time, has got hurt at Denver, but also Denver did a lot of, hey man, we really like Melvin Gordon, and then we like Latavius Murray more than you, even though we drafted you high. So it's a strange world in Denver in his time there, but if looking at the early numbers, I know all that's incentive based. I'm like, wow, okay, Javonte Williams over Rico. That seemed a little crazy.
I'll just throw this out there. I don't know this to be true, but if you just read between the lines, doesn't it strike you as possibly Rico, we really want you back. This is what we can offer you. And there was a little bit of waffling, and they were like, well, we can't wait. We need somebody at running back. Well, we're going to do this deal then instead. And maybe he thought he'd get a little bit more than he got, Yeah. That has to happen. I'm sorry. I know the agents talk to each other, but there have to be moments where I just believe that stuff happens. I mean, there were deals that happened a couple of days ago, that were agreed upon for other teams that, like, when you saw some of them at the market and everything that some of these guys got, and you're just like, did this guy know that guy was getting that at that position? No? Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, honestly, I'd rather have Rico than Javonte Williams. Just as a player, just with the injury that Williams has had, and you look at some of his underlying numbers, the yards after contact, things like that, it's not inspiring. Again, play him in the right role, play him as a number 2, and I think you'll be fine. They didn't overpay massively for him or anything like that. As long as you're not trying to have him be your guy, which I heavily doubt. If they somehow get out of the draft and don't have like a guy that they've picked in the first 2 days of the draft as their number 1, I would be shocked. As long as Williams is their number 2, I think in the end it'll be fine. And maybe he's somebody that can supplement whoever they draft well, because some of his strengths are pass blocking and kind of that kind of stuff, the stuff that usually takes rookies a little bit to catch up on.
There's just no question that this offense is lacking playmakers. And so unless there's a trade in the works, or somehow they end up figuring out something with Cooper Kupp, then you're going into this draft feeling like at least one of your first 2 picks is a playmaker, and maybe both. There's a chance you go wide receiver and then running back, or running back and then wide receiver. And it especially factors in for me because it's not like you hired Robert Saleh as your head coach, who, if that's your head coach, probably wants to build around the defense. Like, you have an offensive coach, who's also your offensive play caller, first time as head coach. I mean, if you're betting money on this, I would be betting strongly on it's an offensive playmaker at 12 or wherever they draft in the first round.
This is where I think...
And that can be Travis Hunter, even though maybe some consider him as corner, if you're listening, Jerry. Sorry, go on.
I would love that.
I would love it so much.
This is where so you get Robert Jones, but nothing else has been done on the offensive line. And, you could grab 10 people on the street and ask them who's a better player, TJ Bass, Brock Hoffman, or Robert Jones. And those 10 people would all go, who? So that's where I'm kind of like, if you did more on the offensive line, then I like the idea of going 1-2 skill position. Or if you do more on the defensive line, and I don't know that Peyton Turner's getting everyone excited, and we can talk about those smaller things that they've done too, and Chauncey Golston-Leaving. We'll talk about that in a minute, but that's right. I think it's an exciting thing to do. I think there's more holes to fill in a tiny way if you're going to do this lottery ticket style, which is kind of what it feels like they're kind of doing here.
Yeah, and on the offensive line, I wonder how much of Schottenheimer's philosophy carries over with McCarthy, because I know McCarthy believed that you really got to have like 3 first-round picks on the offensive line. And right now they have 2, and one of those 2 is, not exactly performing up to the first round, although it's very early. I'm not writing off Tyler Guyton by any stretch, but it wasn't a strong rookie season. Tyler Smith, of course, is your guy. Now, Cooper Beebe might be overperforming from his draft slot and could kind of slide into that category, but you're still looking at another one that you need. And again, that's where it gets interesting. I totally agree with John. I think, you have to have playmaker because early on in the draft, because, I'm fine with Brock Hoffman or TJ Bass as your starting right guard, but yeah, I mean, you have to do something else if you're really trying to build up to that.
It's this whole thing too, like, and this might be why part of why free agency is so frustrating to a lot of Cowboys fans, is because we're all watching every team have supermarket sweep if they want to, but we also don't know. Like, you can call up names that you remember from being, first or second round picks in the years past. Dalton Risner or Will Hernandez, or all these offensive line guys that you might have known. It might have been 30 visits for the Cowboys. But it's like, man, you don't know if they want a right guard who is a guy who's just a wall at 340, or if he's a guy who's a little more savvy and can get out on the edge and block on screens and things like that. Like, you don't even know what they want because they have a new philosophy with their coaching staff. And that's kind of a fun storyline for me, even though it might be boring to talk about maybe, but like how much this new coaching staff and some of the changes they've made with Shoddy, I'm already doing the Shoddy thing. With Shoddy bringing like this new offensive line, how much of that influence carries into the draft war room and their free agent shopping list is interesting, because it's fun to go, I want this guy. Or I remember Shaq Mason. He was taken in the first round. It'd be great. He's available. He's a guard. Let's go get him. But they may not have a single care in the world for some of these players we might want them to get.
And also the other thing is, you look at some of these players that they added even today, like Turner, who are previous first round picks, who there has to be a part of them. They're like, well, we really liked him coming out of the draft, And so, I mean, Elam's a guy that I'm pretty sure the Bills traded up to get. Yeah. And they traded up in front of the Cowboys. So maybe it is one of those things where these are guys that the organization liked in the draft, but at the same time, you could have said that about Noah Igbenogany. You could have said that about Andrew Booth, who right after they did the Elam trade, the first thing I did was to go look back at Dane Brugler's draft guide from that year. And two of Dane's top 5 corners in that draft class are Elam and Booth, And so, but also to give the Cowboys some credit, somebody who's out there right now in free agency that appears to have no interest from anybody at all is Caleb Von Chason. And that certainly seemed like we all thought that should be the pick instead of CeeDee Lamb. Well, I would say we didn't think CeeDee Lamb would be available at that time, but we thought that, hey, that would make a lot of sense. That fills a need. So it is tough to project how these guys are going to go and how they're going to end up. But I can see where some teams are like, well, this player wasn't used right over there. So if we get them in our system, this will work. And maybe it does, but I don't think the Cowboys have done enough for us to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and look, I don't hate the whole the whole approach of reclamation projects from first round picks, because I mean, you're talking about players that have potential, because if they win the first round, that means at worst they were probably going to go in the second or third round. So you're looking at players that have the ability. But to be honest, like, I think my favorite move that they've made is getting Jack Sanborn, who was a undrafted player. But I like what I've seen from him at linebacker, even more than the trade that they made with the Titans. I think, you have to balance that of how much are you looking at past potential versus what the player is now, where I think was Jack Sanborn is now kind of fills a Eric Kendricks type role in the defense, where, he was with Eberflus and the linebackers coach for his entire career in Chicago, but is also young. Unlike Kendricks, he's young and a good player. Like, he's somebody that I could easily see becoming your permanent number 2 or 3 linebacker in the future, or in that rotation. Like, he's a solid player, but he was undrafted. I give them more credit for that than I do, or I like that move more than I like any of the reclamation first round pick projects.
Of the players I probably like the most in free agency, after seeing what they got, factoring that in as well, the two I like the most are Dre Greenlaw and Poona Ford. And Greenlaw was a 5th round pick, and Poona Ford was undrafted. So, I mean, that's just going to happen,
Do we have financial details on Jack Sanborn yet? Are we still waiting on that?
No. I don't think so.
Because I'm interested. It's funny when you get
$500,000. No,
it's funny when you get a guy from another team, and then you either know someone or you see tweets from someone from that fan base, depending who you're following. I have a couple Bears fans, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe we let him get away. I'm pissed." Like, the Bears fans are like pretty heated that Jack Sanborn got away, because he made a lot of plays for him, but also he played for the Bears, and someone has to make tackles on that team. And he was willing to do it. But I like having, Eberflus knowing him very well too, and that come in. That was one that the reaction was very like go ask a Saints fan about Peyton Turner, and they're like, "Geez, my God, now where he got drafted matters."
I don't think Bills fans are that upset they lost Elam.
Yeah, right. Because he didn't, he hardly played. It's kind of funny.
Sanborn. Yeah, but the other thing with Sanborn though is like he fits a role for the Cowboys. Like he's a good run stopping downhill linebacker, which is, similar a little bit to Leofau, but very different from Overshown. That's why I think that even when Overshown is back, I don't think he's just a stopgap guy to get you to Overshown when Overshown is healthy. I feel like he can be kind of in the rotation a little bit in situational football.
But also another one that I want to kind of bring up that just on it as it relates to the whole linebacker thing and all that, we really don't know. What does Eberflus think about like Wanye Thomas and Marquise Bell? To bring both of those guys back, do you need both of those guys back at safety? Do you? Or does he kind of look at one of them as in nickel dime packages? They can be kind of like a linebacker where they line up over tight ends and stuff like that, which is, to Saad's point, that's not really Sanborn, He probably can do it and be okay, but I would think those guys probably would have a little bit better success there. Now, don't get me wrong, too. Bell and Thomas, I think also you could say bring it for the special teams purposes, too. But I also kind of wonder, I wonder how he thinks of them, maybe that they can play some more of that. I don't think that, you go back 2 years ago when the Cowboys had all those linebacker injuries, and then that's just where Wanye and Marquise Bell are playing. I don't think that's a great plan either, but maybe he looks at them as that they can fit in there somewhat too in some of their sub packages.
Yeah, maybe that just the deal for Marquise Bell, I think might kind of tip off a little bit, maybe what they're thinking there. Because I was kind of surprised that happened. I was like, oh, just give him $3 million there. Hey, Saad, I know you got to run, but is there anything you would like to weigh in on or anything before you get out of here? And I would like to ask you before you leave, what area, if you could say, hey, they're going to add a player, what position would it be?
Yeah, I've been kind of beating this drum a lot over the past week or two, but, defensive tackle for me is just one that even after re-signing Osa, you have a need there, and it's probably the position that I would say on the entire team I have the least confidence in them in the draft. And so that's one that I would have liked to see them. John mentioned Poona Ford. That would have been great if you got Poona Ford. But
Solomon Thomas doesn't do anything for you?
No, unfortunately not. Good story, good kid, everything, local kid, like it. But
that's what they're targeting in free agency now?
Yeah.
Former first rounders who are good kids.
Look, even at this point, even if you get someone like Calais Campbell on a 1-year deal, I don't hate that. Dalvin Tomlinson, again, depending on when you're listening, those guys could be off the market. We're just in that mode right now. But those are the kind of guys that, I think after seeing their top pick be Tristan Hill in the second round a few years ago, then Mozzie Smith, you just haven't hit on a lot of these guys. Honestly, I wouldn't have hated a reunion with Malik Collins. I didn't see the exact terms that he got from Cleveland, but I know it was a 2-year deal. I didn't see the money. But yeah, I wouldn't have hated that either. So defensive tackle for me was a position that I really was hoping they would address, and honestly one that I continue to hope they do, because I just don't have much faith in them in the draft at defensive tackle.
Malik Collins reached agreement with the Browns in a 2-year, $20 million deal. I just don't see them doing that.
Wow,
yeah,
no,
$13 million guaranteed.
And I don't
let
think
me make
I
sure.
would.
Let me make sure this is the real Adam Shep.
Yeah,
yes, I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see that money. But
that's crazy maybe it's not crazy now. We have to retrain our brains on what's crazy and not crazy too. Yeah. But hey, Saad, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch up with you next time. And everyone follow Saad online. Check out his stuff on The Athletic. You the GOAT.
Thanks, sir.
See you guys. One of the many goats.
Later, Mom.
Saad is out. And I'm glad he said defensive tackles. I was going to go there with Solomon Thomas. The Peyton Turner thing, cheap again, measurable man. The Saints, definitely Saints fans right there will tell you obviously they didn't love him, but he was out of Houston, highly athletic guy. The problem is he got kind of paired up I think it was the year after they traded up for Marcus Davenport. You remember the UTSA kid, and I think they took him at 14, and that ended up being kind of a failure on both ends. And he's here now, but I mean, there's so many names when you look at edge, like Joey Bosa getting 1 year at $13 million to go to Buffalo, and I was like, man, there's a name that I think Cowboys fans are going to love. And then you really dive into it, and you're like, this guy has not played. And I don't think he's going to play much. Like it's like he's got to prove that he can play, or they're going to bubble wrap him until playoff time. Because like that was kind of like a lot of money, but to see DeMarcus Lawrence get more than that did shock me at his age. Like, you think DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't play? Well, Joey Bosa doesn't really play either. And then Chauncey Golston going away. It's like the thing about Chauncey Golston and that deal that he took
wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. And and there was enough flashes and potential that you could feel where you were kind of like, okay, I would rather them do that.
Yep.
And they didn't. And who knows what they were offering or if they had any interest in keeping him,
The thing about the trading for the first round picks too, is just when you go back, you're just like, you just look at from a Cowboys perspective, like their first, and even you can include the second round too, we'll say. Like, how many guys don't work out with the Cowboys that then they go somewhere else and do better? Because immediately jump out to me, Tristan Hill, Taco Charlton, But even if you just go down the list, like Calvin Joseph, Connor Williams.
He did okay. It bounced around a little bit, and then I guess he's retired now, right?
Cheeto Awuzie, I don't think he was any better. He was kind of what he was.
What he was, which is, solid, but... Yeah.
Right. Jalen Smith, same deal.
Yeah.
Randy Gregory, not better when he left.
Yeah.
Gavin Escobar, no. Morris Claiborne, no. And so that gets you back to 2012, So that's the only reason why when I see some of those, I'm just like, okay, well, who does it really work out with these guys? So I get what they're doing. They're just trying to fill roster spots so that they can go and have as few holes as possible to have to fill in the draft. And that's fine. My frustration with when I cover this team is that they obviously moved away from after the Brandon Carr deal to where they weren't going to do any of these big deals or whatever that. But my issue with that is, well, every other team that really makes a run seems like they do something, I mean, maybe not like the Patriots. I know maybe not heck, even the Packers do from time to time.
They did this year.
Right.
And last year.
I'm like, why not swing once or twice? Like, what did you do since the Brandon Carr deal that made you think that we're closer? Now, they had 2014, and I do think 2014 success had a lot to do with, look at how we put this together, and we put together one of the best teams we've had in 10, 15 years. Let's keep going in this direction. And then they had the success in 16, and then I think that's when they really bought in. And let's be honest, some of the guys that they've given second contracts to have not panned out, got injured, things like that. I mean, heck, you could look at the Trayvon Diggs contract right now with his injuries and how he's dealt with injuries since they gave him his big deal. So I'm not saying that their thinking isn't sound. I'm just saying that it seems like the ones that hold the trophy in the end maybe take a little bit more chances here and there on some guys that, hey, don't get me wrong, Dre Greenlaw, he's coming off of a pretty major injury. So giving him 3 for 35 there's risk involved. But maybe it also hits, and his addition to this team is the thing that finally puts you over the hump in January. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of just being, this is the way we do it, and this is the way we will continue to do it.
Well, let me just pull up this because I think that's an interesting thing you brought up here. I just pulled up the free agent spending by team so far this year. So the teams that have spent the most on free agency this year. Okay, I've lost it. I had it pulled up. Vikings number 1, $81 million, and they have no quarterback right now besides JJ McCarthy, rookie deal. Like, once they got out from under the Kirk Cousins thing and decided not to pay money to Sam Darnold, they could go do things. And they're the team where you go, okay, good roster. And they kept Aaron Jones and then loaded up on defensive line, signing offensive linemen. Then you go to Patriots, bad team. Giants, bad team. The Bengals have spent money, but a lot of that, well, I don't know what the Bengals have done actually, because they haven't signed any. They got to sign Chase, Higgins, and
Poor Joe Burrow.
Oh my God, they did B.J. Hill, and defensive lineman, 3 at 33. TJ Slayton, 2 at 15. It was the Packers DT. Linebacker Oren Burks, 2 at 5. Jaceki, 3 at 25. What? That's oh, yeah. Okay, Samaji Perine, 2 up to 4 million, so nothing crazy there. Franchise tag T Higgins. I bet that's where part of that money's coming. Okay. Rams. What do the Rams do? Because Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And then I guess Puna Ford, 3 at 30. Alaric Jackson, the tackle, 3 at 57. Tutu Atwell for 10. 1 at 10 million, which makes me go, okay, well, Turpin's just a better version of Tutu Atwell and 3 at 18. Did you like that deal?
Yeah. Especially if you can paint a picture for me where he continues to get more usage in the offense.
Yeah, right. You know? That's the whole thing. Is like, I think we're going to have that. I think we'll have.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know that. But like, you'd have to be blind. And I was like, well, we can do more with him, you know?
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that wasn't part of those 2 days of Schottenheimer meeting with Jerry and Steven and that there wasn't some mention of. I just sense some frustration from ownership that there wasn't more usage of Turpin after he would make some big plays, you know? Like, why isn't he whatever? And I bet you Schottenheimer explained some things that he could do to get him more involved. It just strikes me as the Joneses really like, you know, Turpin's ability. I just find it hard to believe that Schottenheimer didn't try and drop some type of a plan or explanation to that with how they're going to use him more. So
the Cowboys, in terms of spending on free agency, it looks like they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 15th in money spent so far. Don't want to hear about the Eagles being aggressive. They've done one thing. So, you know, I don't know how that makes anyone feel or anything, but that's just something to think about. The Cowboys are kind of in the middle of the league.
They also aren't a team that only does stuff right now. Yeah. You know, we'll be sitting down and getting our pizza or whatever for that first round of the draft, and they'll pull off something wild, you know, or it'll be something at training camp or something else, you know, like that won't just be at one point in the season, you know, you just always think like, here we go. Like,
yeah,
that, to be honest with you, if you're a Cowboys fan, you should have been geeked when you saw Myles Garrett resign with the Browns.
Yeah. Well, because
nobody should have been stunned if he ended up in Philly. You know what I'm saying? Like they were found some way, somehow to get something done, you know, where you're just like, how did this happen? You know?
Let's see the other move. I mean, we talked about Osa a little bit, like that deal. Kenneth Murray, old first round pick linebacker for the Titans. A little different than the Jack Sanborn role, though, so that makes a little sense. But yeah, that feels like a special teams type of signing because he has. He's played for the Titans. No one's really stopping down and watching.
Yeah, I didn't really watch him last year, but I thought he was okay for a couple of years with the Chargers. I think he had a couple hundred tackle seasons. I know Damone Clark had one of those too. So whatever it is, but yeah. I think it's more of just getting as many bodies as possible at linebacker to get yourself prepared for Overshown not being ready for a while. You know, maybe not till late in the season. You don't know. And then if he is, then you're just happy that, hey, well, we're good here. I think that's what more of those deals were about.
So the five we're going to rank 5 needs right now that need to be filled right now. And let's do them in order of importance.
Okay. And
we could probably disagree on something.
Yeah.
Because you're getting Trayvon Diggs back mid-year, because you did, I'm still going to say defensive line or defensive. Can I make defensive end be defensive line?
Yes.
I'll say defensive line.
You're saying that as 1 or 5?
Number 1.
Okay.
And then I would say corner. And then I would say OL. And then I would say, running back, a wide receiver or something. But if they're not going to buy anything in free agency there, then I'm pushing them down the list unless they go get Cooper Kupp. That's the sexy name du jour.
See, I'm thinking that they're not going to really do anything at those positions, and because of that, I have running back and number 2 wide receiver higher on the list. It'd be different if they had like somebody, let's say, that was like okay at number 2 receiver. You're like, yeah, and then they also have Ferguson, and I think he'll have a bounce back year or something like that. But that's a pretty big hole there that you're probably not filling. Because here's the other thing: if you look at this roster right now, you really need a number 2 receiver. Do you really feel confident that you're getting that with a 3rd round pick? Or a 4th round pick or a 5th round. No, you probably need to use a 1st or 2nd round pick to get someone that's going to make an immediate impact at wide receiver. And I feel with running back, maybe you can get somebody that makes an immediate impact in the 3rd round. And maybe if you trade back into the 4th, but I also think that you probably got to address that in either the 1st or 2nd. So for me, I have those 2 above the defensive line and offensive line and corner. But I think that those are clearly the 5 biggest needs. And to be honest with you, I can hear an argument for any one of those 5.
Yeah, no, it's all there. It's just like, what else are they going to do to fill it up? I thought
you take your whoever you think is the best offensive lineman at 12, and you got Javonte Williams, and that is his name, correct?
Yeah.
Javonte Williams,
yeah.
And then somebody you get in the 3rd round. I don't know how much you're feeling like, oh, wow, the running game's fixed,
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And there's a part of me that wonders if they like Brock Hoffman enough to say, you are the right guard. If we're going to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
Which feels terrifying, but also, who knows what this is the thing, the influence of the new offensive line coach, I think. It feels like he'll have a lot. We don't know that for sure. It feels like he'll have a lot of influence on the offense. A name for you at wide receiver just to, sex it up for podcast listeners. Because the Cooper Kupp thing's going around, and that's like Tyler Lockett played for Brian Schottenheimer.
There you go.
Now, that would be there's your Brandon Cooks. I mean, he's a different style of player, but you, in terms of age and veteran and role, I was kind of thinking there's someone who's free and it's a name everyone knows. Obviously, I could say Amari Cooper, but does it feel like that's going to happen? I could say Stephon Diggs. But those are all just kind of the big names on the list. You go like further down, it doesn't take long at wide receiver on the free agent list until you get to Noah Brown.
Yeah.
Until you get to the very expendable Deontay Johnson, who played for, it feels like 9 teams this year. For you get to, Nelson Aguilar, wait for it, Michael Gallup. Like it doesn't take long until you get there. So it's like, probably ain't going to happen there.
And then the flip side of it is you just look at the top receivers that have moved recently, and it's like, I thought that was too much for DK Metcalf. I kind of thought that was too much for Devontae Adams, to be honest with you, for what those guys are and everything. Like, they're obviously really good players, but you didn't get them for a bargain, And so when I saw those deals, I was like, well, yeah, no, the Cowboys were never in play for that.
Do you think we're looking at a thing where their number 1 priority right now is just Micah?
No, I do not think their number 1 priority is Mike at all.
Really? Oh,
I think that, I mean, how they drag out contracts, I don't know how anybody could think that that's their number 1 priority.
It's just,
they'll be exercising 5th-year options and using franchise tags, and we're still talking about this 2 years from now.
I may be falling for the banana in the tailpipe here because it always felt a little different to me just because of how outspoken Micah is.
Yeah.
And we haven't really had that with guys in their contracts too much in the past.
I think if he had a different agent, I think that would factor in more with me, but it's just like the Dak situation. They just have some agents that go ahead and show me a somewhat team-friendly deal that one of their top clients took, Yeah. Just give me one of those examples and then we can, and again, it's just like, there's like really no debating. I know that there's probably people out there that don't like the Cowboys who are like, Mike hasn't done enough. He hasn't done enough in the playoffs. He should not be he's resetting the market. He's done enough over the last 4 years to tell you that he's going to reset the market as the highest paid defensive player. So just pay the guy. It's coming. It's going to happen. I don't care if you don't think he's the greatest of leaders or you hate that he does the podcast. He's in line to get paid as the highest paid defensive player. So I think for a lot of people, if they felt the way you did, let's say that you ran the team, I think you would have had it done before free agency even started.
Yeah. And then their agents push back on it and whatever.
You probably would have had it done before Myles Garrett got his deal.
Well, maybe. But again, that's the whole thing is like when Micah talks, it's like, well, Micah may not be in charge of this.
Yeah.
And same thing with Dak.
He tweeted something today about like, now's my time or whatever like that. And I know some people took that as, is the deal about to get done? I'm just kind of like, I don't think his agent's going to let Micah break that. I think Micah might find out about that on Twitter too, considering how much he's on Twitter. But yeah.
Would you like best available free agent defensive ends or edge rushers? Does do anything for you here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Dante Fowler.
I could be interested for sure.
Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
33.
Especially for Detroit to let him go. And I think that he was only going to count like maybe $7 million against. Like, yeah, any of these edge rushers that are still out there, maybe you get them for a bargain because they're just like, man, I thought I'd have a way better market than this. Like, I'll sign a 1-year deal and it's,
Yeah. Or 25-year-old Azeez Ojulari. We'll give you Golston. You give us Ojulari. We'll move on.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe
I'm interested.
The only reason I brought him up, and I don't know, their measurables aren't to a T, but I was thinking about what they did with Peyton Turner there, because Peyton Turner is, again, kind of more of a lanky, more undersized defensive end. And yeah, I think 6'6", 270. And then you start to look at Azeez Ojulari, and he was kind of that thing too. Like he wasn't a power rusher type of guy. Now, nowhere close to the 6'6" guy. I mean, he's 6'3". So a little different, but Ojulari by no means was a power guy. I mean, it doesn't take long, and you get there. I mean, DeMarcus Walker, a former Georgia guy, he played at Chicago last year, so maybe I'm following the Jack Sanborn trail of tears.
Hey, I'm interested in any of those because where I'm sitting right now, I'm thinking that they plan on going into this season with Micah, Sam Williams, Marshawn Nealon, Patrick Turner, and somebody they draft in like the 4th round or one of those 5th round picks, or they trade up into the 4th round for.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, we think that at least one of those 2 out of Sam Williams and Nealon will hit. And then somebody else can be the 3rd guy. And then maybe this rookie is our 4th guy like that, which is crazy to think of because this was a defensive line that just a couple years ago was literally Micah, DeMarcus Lawrence, and then their backups were Dante Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong.
I'm glad you mentioned Caleb Chase.
Like Chauncey Golston was like the 6th guy or something in the rotation.
Yeah. They could right or wrong and go with Emmanuel Ogba, who they, if you remember, wanted in 2016, and that ended up being Jalen Smith. Here's some veterans for you right here. Cleveland Farrell, Preston Smith, Matthew Judon, who lives here in town, I believe, in the offseason. Boy,
I think all of them would be super affordable.
Slim.
So
yeah,
if you said that they added one of them on a 1-year, very low, a few $1 million deal, I don't think it's the worst thing.
I was doing this with Carl Lawson too. I guess he could come back.
Yeah, I guess, he could come back, yeah.
Who knows, if the new regime is into him or not. It's just fun to go through there and be like, well, there's guys. I mean, how about corner? Play the corner game a little bit. Talking about old guys they were interested in. The year they took Leighton Vander Esch, do you remember who they or one of the people that was on their board that they were considering taking?
I don't remember now.
Dory Jackson, cornerback, USC, and they thought was, he'll return kicks for you and all that stuff too.
Hey, before you even say it, I'm going to tell you, I'd be interested in, I know he's old, but Stephon Gilmore. If the deal is cheap enough.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Hey, I'm not expecting you to come out here and be, a shutdown corner or anything like that, but can you be pretty solid? And then we get Diggs back whatever week, and then all of a sudden we got Elam and Gilmore and Kalen Carson, and then you got Diggs back with Jerron Bland. I don't hate that.
No, I don't hate that either. And
he was still solid with the Vikings. He wasn't bad.
No, he wasn't bad at all. You could run him out there and be fine. What they need is guys who can go, play games.
Right.
That's what they need.
Yep.
And you can find a bunch of names that, oh my God, James Bradbury out there, 32, former Eagle great. Get to Stephon Gilmore. I saw a running back from Florida State that reminded me of you earlier. Cam Akers.
Oh yeah.
But that was, once you get the Javonte Williams deal done, you're kind of like, okay, well, they're not going to double dip.
When you get Javonte Williams, you're good at running back.
A.J. Dillon to the Eagles, by the way, to be the backup. Very slow. Very slow. Hard to tackle, though.
Maybe they think he can be great in the tush push.
He actually would. He might be. Although he had a neck injury and didn't play last year, so maybe you wouldn't do that to him. So looking through it all, the Cowboys have done a lot. The trades, obviously, we didn't get into the nuts and bolts of the trades, but we're talking about a bunch of late round picks.
Yeah.
And the Kyrie Elam thing. They got a bunch of comp picks, for Tyron and Tyler Biotis signing elsewhere. I think 4 comp picks they got today, and then some of those are going to get swapped around. And so part of the trade for Kenneth Murray was, late round pick. Because some of these guys do feel like guys who are going to play, special teams. So I feel better about linebacker, So we walk away with one position group feeling like, hey, we've kind of done our job there. We've got that taken care of.
You went up to your dry erase board and you crossed off one spot and you got 7 to go.
It's like, that's good. We're set at safety.
Yep.
We'll see what happens with Cooper Rush, right? Because that's when you look at too, like the ones that are like they're boring things, but like these are things that happened. Re-signing, C.J. Goodwin and Wanye Thomas, and Marquise Bell. Obviously, the punter back, Brian Anger and Trent Sig.
Yeah,
all that great. Safety were good. You're like, oh yeah, what are they going to do at backup quarterback?
It wouldn't surprise me if they get Rush. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they got Rush back.
Yeah, but the place I was interested, there's still more dominoes to fall.
Jameis Winston, is that what you're interested in? Sorry.
Oh yeah, let's heat things up. No, I think he'll be more podcasting.
Yeah.
No offense
with Micah.
To anyone who's podcasting
with Micah on Tuesdays from Dallas.
God, it'd be great. But there are still like quarterback dominoes to fall. Like, the Vikings can say whatever they want, and I know they like JJ McCarthy. I do think if Aaron Rodgers wanted to go there, I do think they would entertain that. And I know the Steelers, some of the Giants would take anyone, but I think that's the one I think we're waiting on. Because otherwise, I think this would all be done. And I think it said a lot that Russell Wilson is meeting with the Giants and the Browns. So I could see Russell Wilson going to the Browns. Oh my God, that'd make a lot of sense. I think the Aaron Rodgers following the Brett Favre dream, which is my dream, is Aaron Rodgers going to Minnesota. That's what I want to happen.
So wild.
I want it to happen so much. Like I want him getting 2 cracks at the Packers. I want to see if he still owns the Bears. If the Bears have put together, well, the Bears always win the offseason. So just
trying to fit a ball in between 4 guys off his back foot.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I want to see it. And I do think that's why the things have slowed down on the quarterback front. Because a lot of people are like, oh, he's just going to go to Pittsburgh. Dude, Aaron Rodgers is not going to go play with George Pickens and DK Metcalf. That is not going to work.
And there's a way better chance of seeing him yelling stupid effing call to Kevin O'Connell than there is Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. He's like, I don't even call the plays.
Yeah. Stop yelling at me.
God, you're such a dick. Who's the other one? Because Darnold went to the Seahawks. Geno Smith to the Raiders for a third. Very strange. So our quarterback openings are obviously the everlasting opening in Cleveland.
Yep.
Kenny Pickett.
I don't know, man. I disagree a little bit. I think the Vikings are going to go with McCarthy. I think that's why they went and spent money everywhere else. Like I think they just got a deal done with Harrison Smith for another year. That's
did they just wrap that up.
That's a lot more. Like, what did you think that would be worth? I thought if you told me something like that, I thought it'd be like $6 or $7 million or something.
He's 37 when the year starts. I mean, what?
At age,
$6 million.
He gets $10 million base with incentives up to $14 million in his 14th NFL season, according to Ian Rappaport. Yeah,
still got it like that. Like I don't know, man.
They've spent a bunch of money, man. I find it hard to believe that I think they're gonna go the young quarterback route. I think that O'Connell thinks that, man, look what I just did with Darnold. Let me cook. I'm good.
Yeah, maybe. That would make sense. So then the Steelers, I have a hard time thinking the Steelers are trying to run it back. I guess But the other weird one too is the Jets just going, you know what, F it. Justin Fields, fine. $40 million, whatever. Like, dude, and to do like a 2-year deal for him, like who was giving him more than a 1-year deal?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's very confusing.
But that's where I get back to the Cowboys and I think about Dak, and it's like, yeah, do I think it would have been better if he would have taken like 55, 56 million? It would look better. It would have been better, for, I guess, for the public or whatever. But the Cowboys probably aren't doing anything with that $4 million extra anyway. And at least you're not in that Jets-Browns territory at quarterback where you're just like, I don't know, who's it going to be? Are we going to go after Jameis Winston, or you want to kick the tires on Aaron Rodgers? If they didn't have a quarterback, Jerry would be calling Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And he should. Like, dude, no one goes to the Jets and plays good quarterback. I'm not making excuses for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. He was bad.
Cleveland, too. I mean, Baker had some good years, but still, even he didn't have it as well as he did after he left.
It feels like that Pittsburgh thing, though, is really volatile. Whoever goes to play quarterback there, even if it's Russ, it feels like that's very volatile.
I don't know. I just remember Terry Bradshaw handing the baton to Roethlisberger, and it seamlessly just kept rolling. Oh, wait.
There's a few guys in between there, I think.
Neil O'Donnell.
Oh, my God, Neil O'Donnell. You can never convince me that he wasn't paid a lot of money to throw the ball directly to Larry Brown. When you watch the highlights, there's no one. There's no one. The second interception, not the first. There's no one even close. Like, what in the world? Who is Mike Tomczak?
And at that time, if we were in the social media era that we are in now, with that interception, the conspiracy theories about how, of course, the NFL threw that game so the Cowboys could win, and then I tap you on the shoulder and go, "Oh, you think that's what it is? Check this out. For the next 30 years, they're never even going to come close to this. So if you think that's what it was."
You won't snip it.
I gotta get some good stories for you.
Enjoy it while you have it, because you're not going to sniff it for probably the rest of your life. That was 30 years, right there. You didn't know how long you'd live. Cordell Stewart, too, would be the Steelers quarterback, just filling in the gaps there. Slash. I couldn't believe they gave 5 at 150 to DK Metcalf, who, in my opinion, is at best a number 2 wide receiver.
I mean, bold, but it's crazy to me because for so long, the Steelers have been able to find receivers, good ones, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round, that it's just crazy to think that they went that route of having to pay a ton for somebody from another team. But they're kind of stuck, man. They're stuck in that little Cowboys area too, just talking to some people that in the combine that covered the Steelers, where they're just kind of, we're too good to be like really high in the draft, but we're not good enough for you to think that, okay, this team's about to win the Super Bowl, And lo and behold, when they played each other last year after that hour or so rain delay, like, I did have thoughts of like, man, Cowboys are better than the Steelers. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's probably pretty close.
It probably is. Oh. Well, look, if anything else happens, we'll be here to talk about it. I say anything else happens. If there's some minor things, we probably won't be back, on a somewhat regular schedule. But we will, obviously, the draft is getting close and we're gearing up for that. Oh, by the way, well, I think everyone's excited. What's it going to take to get Travis Hunter? I mean, Kent's dying to get Travis Hunter in here. How are we going to
next year's first and maybe a little extra sprinkled in on top? Probably got to get up to 3. So
this year's first and next year's first.
Yep, and then something else probably a little bit.
This year's first, next year's first.
We're talking about needing corners and wide receivers. I mean, knock out 2 birds with one stone right there.
That's how Jerry will sell it too, because he'll say, well, we gave up next year's first round pick, but we feel like we're getting 2 players here. Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes too much sense. The only thing that makes it tough is that the Giants are at 3. And although the Cowboys have done trades within the division in the draft, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, are the Giants going to really play ball there to go all the way back to 12?
That's why I'm like, that's where it gets weird.
They did just hand like a generational running back to their rival in Philadelphia, so maybe.
Yeah, that's the same guys in charge.
That is crazy too. Hey, don't think that I wasn't thinking about that the 2 or 3 times I saw him walking around Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I'm like,
dead man walking.
A lot of people know who you are. It's not for good reasons.
Yeah. That's happened with some other GMs we've seen. Is Joe showing the Nico Harrison of football after the Saquon thing?
I think that's got to be. That's tough. That's a good way to describe it because on one hand, Nico has had much more success. I don't think Joe Shane's had any success. Where Nico's actually put together a team that got to the finals. He did give up Saquon. Oof. I think Shane's worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let Nico cook. He's got a backdoor deal done with Silver. They're going to get the one. They're going to get Cooper Flag.
We're not doing this.
Everybody's going to be fine.
That might be the point, though. If it was that, fall into the lottery, have the worst odds to win it, and then win it. That might be the point where you would have me like, okay, maybe this was something. Like, that's what it would take.
I mean, I know it's not apples to apples, but those years when the Magic got back-to-back number one picks, when they got Shaq and it was Weber and they trade him for Penny, and then the 1 year that the Spurs are a little down and they get Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Even the Spurs getting Wemby. I don't think the Spurs were that high. And
never like, hey, the league's going out of its way to help out small market teams, San Antonio and Orlando. But their biggest market. That's why I don't.
Too.
Again, I don't believe.
Got handed a few picks there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Dan Gilbert's kid up there.
That's right. Yeah, when they got Kyrie was one of them, and then the other one ended up wasting, I think, on Anthony Bennett or something. But did they end up turning? Maybe somebody else too, but I think they end up.
One of them they wasted on Bennett. The other one was Kyrie, I believe. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Before I get out here,
get Flag. You give the Mavericks Cooper Flag. Most of the people are jumping right back on the bandwagon. Probably got to fire Nico though too.
You would have to do that. No, that's the boat they're in. The boat they're in, and we don't have a track record with the owner. But I think the boat they're in is like, okay, well, here's my guy. I'm going to continue to be a little defiant about it, and my guy is now going to get a chance here to keep Kyrie and AD and whatever else you can do in this short-term 2-year window. Or it's, get an actual basketball GM.
Yeah.
Like, get a basketball lifer. I don't know. The CEO of the team is Rick Welts, who was in Golden State. Bob Myers does TV. Klay Thompson talks about how good, how he wants to get this franchise back to, what it was in 2011 and how he still believes in the franchise. To me, that's where my intention is seeing if there's something there with Bob Myers.
Yeah.
This is not a math podcast. And my pop culture pick of the week, Mickey 17 movie. Robert Pattinson is your star. Won the weekend box office at a modest $20 million. It's the guy who did the movie Parasite, which is one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years. Ken, I don't know if you've seen it yet. I loved it. It's a weird movie. It's a hell of a ride. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I never got bored. I don't think it's going to get like Oscar buzz or anything like that. Robert Pattinson's accent, which Kent warned us about, is weird, but
multiple accents.
Wonderful movie.
Where would you rank him in terms of like notable actors that are still in movies, TV shows today? Like he's top 50, top 20, top 100?
Top 50, clearly, I think. Anytime you're a Batman.
What criteria do you mean? Like just popularity, John, or good actor?
Popularity.
What do you mean?
Popularity? Yeah.
I'd say like around top 25-ish.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like top 10, but I'd put him in like in the top 25 maybe.
He might be top 10 under 40.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The reason why I say this is because I don't watch nearly the movies that you guys do, but I try and keep up with the big stuff, TV shows and stuff like that. I've never seen anything that he was in, never a TV show, movie, or anything. But I know he's super famous, obviously, because he's been in a lot of stuff. But like
Twilight,
I've never, I'd have to have so many people tell me that he was great in Batman for me to go see that. It would take just loads of like just there. I see
alert,
it.
John,
I'm like, I'm good.
He's great in Batman.
I am very like I can see. I think I've told you guys before. I can see a bad movie with an actor that I really like, way over a really good movie with an actor that I'm just like I can't buy this person.
Have
in this
you
role
seen I know you've seen one of his movies. Have you seen Christopher Nolan's Tenet, John?
That sounds familiar.
I never saw that one.
It's the one before Oppenheimer.
And the one after what, Inception?
And he was in that
kind of
one.
during the pandemic. It has John David Washington and Robert Pattinson. It's kind of a spy thing with some interesting
Confusing
concept behind
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
It's kind of shot in reverse in a weird way.
I just brought up some pictures from. I have not seen this. No.
Check him out in that, and another movie called Good Time from the guys who did Uncut Gems.
Oh,
really
Safdies. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Okay. You're not going to try and suggest the TV show that he was on to me.
I don't know what you would be talking about.
What TV show?
Wasn't he in like or maybe it was a movie? Whatever. What's the thing he's most known for?
Seen him in Twilight, Batman, Tenet.
Oh, Twilight's a movie.
Twilight's a movie that's on TV a
no
lot.
chance. So that's why I don't know. Sorry.
See, all these movies are on TV all the time now, so it's hard
No,
to
I'm
decipher.
good.
No, you shouldn't do that. I mean, you could if you wanted. It's not a.
Don't do that.
I don't know if you saw Parasite. If you saw Parasite, and you
I
like
did.
Parasite, then I would
Very
give
good.
Mickey 17 a shot. I'd be interested to see how Kent feels about it. There's my.
I did see it, and I enjoyed it a lot, KT.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
It's very fun. Mark Ruffalo.
Did you say right or did you say might, like mate?
I think I just kind of came and said them both ways. I said them might. I turned into an all-seat. As I saw Dante Exum on my TV back here. The Mavs are still fighting for the 10 seed. All right. That's good.
Shout out to anybody that's still listening.
Yeah, the first 55 minutes are hard hitting football. You know how we do. Give it up for Saad. Give it up for John.
Yeah.
Give it up for Kent. We'll be back soon. Obviously, if there's anything big happening, big emergency podcast, you can be ready for that. Follow John and Saad on The Athletic. Follow the Mad About Movies podcast, too. Yes. They'll go deep.
17 talk.
They'll go deep on Mickey 17 with you. I'm Kevin, and we'll see you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast.
Trade up for Travis.
We bring the boom, but the budget's shy. Fans are screaming, why won't you try? Championships need more than faith, but tight purses keep us stuck in place.
I appreciate your tenderness.